Mic'd up.
From Lowlifes. Highlights from Lowlifes.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to our show. Tonight's topic for the highlights from Lowlifes is top 5 people you think should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame but are not. And this would be folks that are qualified to enter. So we can't talk about Miguel Cabrera yet because he doesn't have his 5 years out of the game, so to speak. So we tend to shy away from the topics that are controversial. We're trying to make you laugh, but I think you'll get some laughs tonight. But there might be some fights. We have to see. So
if any of those damn Yankee guys call in, it's going to go to hell.
That's right. Damn it. So tonight we've got Rob Lanterman, Marty Brown, special guest star Brent Teddy Bear Tetlow.
Hey, folks.
And I am Rob Weber. We haven't had a crew of 4 in a bit, so this will be a lot of fun. The Lowlifes are a group of players, baseball players in the San Francisco Bay Area. We started having Zoom calls during the pandemic to keep track of each other, and they evolved into these top 5 sessions. We found the Mic'd Up platform, which is what you're watching us on right now. And they said, hey, why don't you guys try out a show? So we've been doing that. I think this is show number 36.
Oh, my God.
I know. My God. We are sponsored by Almanac Beer, and we'll be talking a little bit about them. But let's start off.
Wait a minute. Before we get started, this is actually 36th show?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How ironic. Isn't when you go to the store and get a lot of beer, it comes in a 36 pack? Whoa.
I wouldn't
That's
know.
Scary.
I wouldn't know, Marty. I don't buy beer in bulk like that.
Can I get a keg, but put it in cans?
Marty, that's only 4 12-packs. Come on.
Right.
Oh, no. These guys are not good at math. All right, great. All right. So we have put no rules on this tonight. So if you want to talk about some of the more controversial players who are involved with steroids and gambling, that's perfectly okay. You're entitled to your opinion, even if it's wrong.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah. Marty, could you start us off with your number 5 player that you think should be in the Hall of Fame?
Okay. You're wrong. Wait, was that too early?
Him, what?
All right, so I'll go to number 4. If you don't like 5, I'll go to 4. That's okay. It doesn't matter.
I've been waiting all day to tell Marty he was wrong.
Gee, it wouldn't be the first one today either. Sorry about that. All right, this player is known to everyone, and it wasn't so much of a career, but the accomplishment in an individual game in the Polo Grounds, who came in during the course of the game and completely took it over. It was the game of the Gas House Gorillas versus the Teetotalers. And the player came in with the Gas House Gorillas leading 96-0. Oh. But sure enough, our hero came back playing all 9 positions now. All 9 positions. Came back to take a 96-95 lead. Now, this is the controversy. You can't have a Hall of Fame person with a controversy. He made the final out at the top of the Umpire State Building. Hoisting himself up a flagpole, throwing his glove in the air, making the catch. The umpire, of course, was right there. He was out. The game is over, and Bugs Bunny won. Wow. Now, the controversy is, the ball was out of the ballpark by that time for like, a mile maybe. But so wouldn't it be a valid even though he caught the ball? See, there's the controversy. So but he is for that single game. Bugs Bunny, Hall of Fame. There you go.
All right.
Herein is the lesson. There you go.
Yeah. I think maybe the controversy on that one is that it was fictitious, but that's another story.
Well, no, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I got other things here that are quite just as fictitious. Don't worry about it.
I bet you do.
We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed as dialed.
All right, Marty, who's up next?
All right. Whatever you think you can do better, go for it. Go ahead.
There you go.
All right. The players I'm choosing tonight are players that are not involved with steroids and not involved with gambling. They weren't necessarily the greatest people in the world in some cases, but I think they had careers that they deserve Hall of Fame consideration, and in many cases they should be there. So I'm going to start out with the Cobra, Dave Parker. This guy had a tremendous career. 339 homers, 154 steals, a career batting average of 290, which in today's day and age just does not happen. One MVP, 7-time All-Star, 3 Gold Gloves, brought great character to every team he was on. He was on the Pirates, as you all know, in the beginning of his career and was right along Pop Stargell. But then he went to the Reds and played very well for them. He's in the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. I'm told that he has Parkinson's disease now, so his health has really gone downhill the last few years, but he still tries to make all of the reunion events. And he was one of the top players of his time, and I think he deserves solid consideration to be in the Hall. So Dave Parker, the Cobra.
How much do you think the cocaine stories affected him?
I don't know. I know that he was part of that group of guys that were quote unquote caught. I believe he took responsibility for himself, which goes a long way with me.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Rob, it's probably one of the reasons why people say, "Nah, he can't be in."
I think those old school sports writers, it's hard for them to comprehend the hey, at least he owned up to it. There's a lot of guys out there that haven't owned up to a lot of crap.
Exactly. All right, Brent, give us your number 5.
Okay, my number 5 batted .281. He had 2,134 hits, 7-time All-Star, 3 times in the World Series, and he had 104 steals. And that was the record until Lou Brock took it away in '74. It's Maury Wills. Yeah. I used to watch him in Dodgers Giants, and he was fast. And I remember that they accused the ground crew of when the Dodgers came into Candlestick Park to soak in the dirt around first base. So it was kind of soggy when he got on base and he couldn't get a good jump.
Yep.
But that's my number 5 was Maury Wills.
Yeah, you could say that he and Brock, they revolutionized the game. I mean, the Dodgers, as much as we hate the Dodgers, they invented small ball. They could generate runs without getting the ball out of the infield. So,
yeah, I know he was a Dodger, but I still have to say he should have been in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, he got close a couple of times. The voting was getting up there, but many times.
Yep.
Okay, Robbie, what do you got?
All right. Well, before I do my number 5, I just briefly wanted to give a big shout out to our biggest fan, Vonnie, my wife. She's going through some medical stuff, and usually she sits out in the other room and yelling at me and talking back to the show while we're trying to do it. And I keep having to try to spin my microphone around so it won't pick her up yelling. But yeah, I miss having her around and wishing her a speedy recovery. So
yeah.
Amen.
Got it.
Amen.
All right. So with that, I'll move into my number 5. And I'm guessing he's on Weber's list at least. And I'm going to go with Richie Allen, Dick Allen. I think if you take Hall of Famers and take the best 10 years of their career, he is equal to almost everybody that's in the Hall of Fame. So he's amazing. I think he like Dave Parker probably got hurt by the cocaine wars. I think Richie Allen, who got Gold Gloves, All-Star selections, and MVP. His numbers are amazing. I think because he took a stand on social issues, it hurt him in the long run for his career. To his credit, he never backed down from any of that. And I don't know if you remember when he was with the Oakland A's briefly, his jersey, he's from Wampum, Iowa, and his back of his jersey was Wampum was his name on it. Pretty funny. But
They
the
let
guy
him
the
get
guy
away
could
with
hit,
it.
the guy could field, he was fast, and he had all the tools. And he took some lumps in his career for being a guy that wouldn't take crap from nobody. And I got a lot of respect for him. So Richie Allen, I think, should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things that I learned about him is they said the average weight of a bat that a major leaguer uses is 34 ounces. You got
Okay.
some guys
Yeah.
that are using stuff even below 30 ounces. Dick Allen used a 41-ounce bat.
Wow.
He was swinging a tree.
Yeah, and it's amazingly strong wrist, and just flicked the ball out of the ballpark.
And
Um,
he hit Koufax and Drysdale pretty hard back in the day.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's a 41-ounce bat getting around on those fastballs.
mhm,
Wow.
yep. All right,
Very
that is
good.
the
Very
completion of
good.
round 1 here. We're moving on to our number 4 picks. What do you got, Robbie?
All right.
Who's next?
Number 4 for me. It's going to be a theme for probably 4 the 3 of my 4 remaining guys actually. He and his partner played for what? Almost 20 years. One of the best double play combos in history.
Oh.
Great second baseman, super fast, good hitter, but really just fluid on defense. He was one of those people you'd pay money to go watch him catch a grounder. He was just absolutely smooth, absolute perfection in the field. And if Alan Trammell's going to be in the Hall of Fame, then his partner, Sweet Lou Whitaker's got to be there right
Oh
next
yeah.
to him. Yeah, Lou Whitaker was amazing.
Absolutely.
I mean, second base is not I pay money to go in and see the second baseman play, but when Sweet Lou Whitaker played, you pay money to go see that. He was that good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a
Totally
good one,
agree.
Robbie.
Mhm.
Very
Thanks.
good.
Yeah. Well, if you like it so much, Brent, let's see what you got.
Well, my guy too was also a magician with his glove. He got 11 gold gloves in his career, and he was a 3-time All-Star. He got close in the ballots. He got about 43% of his vote there for a while in 19. Omar Vizquel.
Yep.
He just didn't quite make it, but man, I could watch him he didn't even have to catch it. He would bounce the ball off the back of his glove, catch it with his hand, and throw you out. And then he would have the guts to wait until he thought his ball would just about make it there and then throw you out within a half a step. Just to piss you off, I think.
Yep. Remember on the
But
double play turns how he would catch the ball on the outside of his glove?
outside of his
Oh,
glove,
yeah.
he didn't have to
Yeah.
get it in
So
there.
he was ready to make the throw.
Yeah, he just bam bam right
Yeah.
off the outside. He was fun to watch. I enjoyed
Yep.
him, and he was just looked like he had fun on the ballpark too. He just
Yep.
looked like he was having fun. And didn't he go on Dancing with the Stars or something too?
Oh, that
Oh,
I don't know. I know he was a
Yeah.
musician and he recorded a cover of the Goo Goo Dolls,
Okay.
Broadway. But it's actually, I mean, if you want to have some tongue-in-cheek fun, I think he was trying to be serious.
Uh-huh.
No,
It
okay.
sounds like if Cheech covered.
Okay. Okay.
So I highly recommend looking it up.
Yeah, that will. I
Omar
will.
Vizquel, Broadway by the Goo Goo Dolls.
Very good. Marty, who is your number 4?
I think I think I got everybody scared about my list here after the last
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
With bugs? Yeah.
But for a little background, for the people that didn't join us till we hit mic'd up, part of our experiences on Zoom during the pandemic was to have a baseball leagues, fantasy baseball leagues, Stratomatic. And everybody gave me a hard time when I took the Seattle Pilots, because they were only around for 1 year. But my choice for number 4 was the Seattle Pilot. Never played for them in the regular season, but was in the draft, picked by the Seattle Pilots in the expansion draft. Went on to be the Rookie of the Year in 1969, and that was Lou Piniella. Not only did this guy have a good baseball career, he was good, but he was a 3-time Manager of the Year with 3 different teams. He was an All-Star in '72, and he went to the postseason as a manager 7 times. Only winning once with the Reds in 1990 over the Oakland A's, which really pissed me off considering the jersey I have behind me. But the Veterans, he came up twice in the Veterans Committee and lost by 1 vote both times in 2019 and just last year in 2023. And I'm not sure how that committee works. He deserves to be in just for his entire body of work. Lou Piniella, number 4.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
we were just talking about guys you pay money to go see. When Piniella was managing with the Reds, my wife used to love to go see the Giants play the Reds because you knew crap was going to come flying out of the dugout when he didn't like the call. Bats, helmets, whatever. And it was like clockwork every game. Stuff would fly out of the dugout. Yeah.
That's a
Clean
good
up on
one,
aisle
Marty.
4.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting in a rut, but let's stick with the rut. Go ahead, Webby.
Oh,
So I got to go back to Robbie's pick, Lou Whitaker. I actually think that's one of the greatest injustices is him not being in the Hall of Fame. It isn't fair to compare his stats to guys that played in different eras, which is the argument you see a lot. They go, "Look, he's not Bill Mazeroski. He kills Bill Mazeroski's stats." Well, they were different. It was different times.
it sure was.
But during the period of time that Lou Whitaker played, he was arguably the best second baseman there was. Fielding, hitting, speed. He won the Rookie of the Year, 5-time All-Star, 3 Gold Gloves, 240-something homers, 140-something steals, and he was fun to watch. I think he'll end up in the Hall at some point. I just hope it's before he passes away. You want these guys to get the recognition they're due, before they pass. And he's one of the guys I feel really strongly about. So that was my number 4.
Good.
All right, we polished off 2 rounds. Robbie, what time does that make it?
Well, you know what time that is.
What?
Best
What you
time-
drinking? I think it's our favorite segment of the show, right? What you drinking?
Absolutely.
And 36 episodes and 36 times we've been sponsored by the goofballs over at Almanac Brewing in Alameda, California. One of America's most premier craft brewers. The beers are delicious. Each week we are drinking different beers from them. We're taking turns trying different things, and some of us get into the aforementioned ruts that we were talking about. Like last week's show, I had right before the show, I had found a 4-pack of the Porchlight Lager. So I had a couple on last week's show, and I'm on a couple tonight. Just letting you know right up front. The Porchlight Lager from Almanac, it's really flavorful. It's not like your Budweiser, Miller Coors, all the cheap beers that taste sort of beer-like. This is a really nice, full, rich lager, but it's still light and easy to drink. And my tagline for them, I haven't gotten paid yet, but I'm working on it. You see the moth on the can, because like a moth to a light, I'm drawn to this beer.
There you go.
What you guys drinking?
Marty?
Well, go ahead.
Brent? Go ahead, Brent.
Okay, I've got the Almanac, the Order of Time.
Oh.
Ooh.
It's
Yeah, because somebody went to the brewery.
yeah, that's the only place I can find it. And it's a clear and crisp beer. Light, it's refreshing. Second favorite now, next to the Kolsch, and I'm enjoying this quite a bit. It's the Order of Time. They call it Cricky.
Ricky?
Cricky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I got to try that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
Add that to your list of beers I'm not going to get for you from the brewery.
Thank you.
I need to dispute a prior claim. It's not a rut, it's tradition. The true Kolsch.
There you
There
go.
it is.
It has been a staple on this program since, well, a long time. What's the number again? 37? Well, anyway, okay.
36.
It is, yeah. It's a beautiful beer. It's crisp, refreshing, perfect for the golf course where I was first introduced to it by some guy that's got a lot of San Francisco stuff around. But anyway, all right. So it is not a rut. It is tradition. Somebody needs to lift up the can of the true Kolsch, and I'm honored to carry on that tradition tonight.
Attaboy.
All right.
That leaves you, Webby.
So I don't want to, rain on your parade, Marty, but I don't want to say it's tradition. I want to say it's imprisonment. Robbie is supplying me with my share of the sours that are produced by Almanac. Tonight, I'm drinking the strawberry sour, the strawberry sour Nova, which is the third or fourth different sour I've had from Almanac.
I believe it's 4.
My local brewery or local liquor store has all of the sours that are produced by Almanac. They must be popular. Folks are buying them from the display there. The sours aren't my favorite. I've made that very clear.
They are now.
And I'm hoping that somebody somewhere hears me and allows me to try some of the other Almanac beers. I think I'm going to drive over to the brewery myself. So, all right. So there we have it. Thank you again, Almanac.
Thank you, Almanac.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, we are off to round 3. We are going for the third best third of your top 5 players that should be in the Hall of Fame but aren't. Marty, start us off.
I'm going to stick to the Seattle theme. I think is what I got going tonight, and his name is synonymous with the designated hitter, Edgar Martinez.
Yes.
Was a third baseman. Got himself injured, but over his 18-year career, most of it with the Mariners. He had a .312 lifetime average, over 300 home runs, 2,000 hits, and 1,000 RBIs. It's good enough for 7 All-Star teams and 5 Silver Slugger awards. Need I say more? There he is.
So, Marty.
Edgar Martinez.
Marty, why do you think he's not in?
Because he's known for being a designated hitter.
He's not one of the
and I hear you, but
players.
that's not really his fault.
No,
he could be considered one of the best designated hitters of all time. And I'm just concerned that the folks that are doing the voting they're holding against him the fact that he didn't play the field. It wasn't his choice.
Well, that's it. Because he was a designated hitter.
I mean, not to get off track or anything, but he's in. He was voted in 2019.
Is he in?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Well, okay. Well, all right. Screw that.
Well, it took
So
him
I-
long
but-
enough, huh, Marty?
Okay, now you can make a case for famous Mariner third baseman Bill Stein.
Is he the inventor of the beer mug?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So
I think
So I'm gonna fire to this website that said guys that should be in the Hall of Fame.
are you still using AOL dial-up?
Beep, beep, boo. Bum, 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 bum.
All right, let's go. How about I substitute Jim Brockmeyer? He was that announcer that was got.
Yeah.
All right, I'll forget. All right, all right, all right. I'm done. Good night. See you next week. Bye.
No. It's all good.
All right, Lannerman, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So my number 3, it was gonna be Omar Vizquel, but I'm gonna pivot to one of the great left-handed pitchers of all time, who had the opportunity to play on some great teams, and then had the opportunity to play on some really bad teams. Uh, my theory on why this guy is not in the Hall of Fame, similar to Dave Parker, he ran into some drug issues, and full caveat, he is a friend of many of us here on this program tonight. So bear that in mind if you want to judge me for my bias on this. But a lot of people have Sandy Koufax as one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Sandy Koufax really had a 6-year window of greatness, and he was completely dominant during those 6 years. Vida Blue had 6, maybe 7 years of dominance, starting 2 All-Star games, an MVP, a Cy Young. He's got a comparable record to several guys that are already in the Hall of Fame, like Catfish Hunter. He's got better numbers in many cases, and he's certainly in the pantheon of left-handed pitchers. He's top notch. So I think Vida should be worthy of consideration there. And I know he's one of those fringe guys, but if you're looking at one of the Ferguson Jenkins and Vida Blue were the first 2 black men to win a Cy Young Award in the same year. You listen to guys talk about facing Vida, they speak in high reverence of him, and to me that's good enough. That guy played his ass off for 16, 17 years in the league, and half of that career on really bad teams, and he's still worthy in my opinion.
yeah,
Very
very good. Very good.
Here's the V.
Vonnie checked in on that one.
Absolutely, Vida all the way. He
Played for both Bay Area
he
teams.
played for both Bay Area teams and was stellar and a great-hearted man.
Yep.
We miss him.
Every day.
Yeah.
All right, Brent.
Well, we traded. I got Omar before you did. You got Vida before I did. So I'm going to make a switch. And he was a pitcher also. 4-time All-Star. He ended his career with a 3.34 ERA. 288 wins. And he had a surgery named after him, Tommy John.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Good
I
pick.
think that's a great pick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I thought that he was right up there with a lot of these other folks that made it into the Hall. And for some reason, he didn't. And I have no idea why. I didn't follow his career that closely. But I don't know why he didn't get picked.
The beginning of his career was not great.
Okay.
He was on some really, really bad White Sox teams.
Well,
And it took a while for him to establish himself.
gotcha.
But the same could be said about players like Jim Cott. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's guys that have several great seasons, like we just talked about, but Tommy John was relatively consistent for a long
Yeah, he
period
was.
of time,
That's
just like
what I
Jim
thought.
Cott.
Well,
I mean,
3.34 isn't too bad for your career.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not bad at all.
And it's a lot of wins in the book.
Webby, did you go already, or are we done?
I did not.
Okay,
did not.
Webby, what's your number 3?
I'm going to go with one of the greatest switch hitting power hitters of all time. There aren't that many, but this guy played well for many, many years. Came up as a second baseman, then became an outfielder. Reggie Smith.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Interesting.
Reggie hit 314 homers in his career, which spanned the United States, and then I think he went off to Japan for a couple of years. 137 steals, a 287 batting average, a 7-time All-Star, and 1 Gold Glove in the outfield. I've met Reggie before. A lot of people just remember him as the guy that, when he was playing for the Dodgers, that went into the stands at Candlestick Park to go after a few fans who probably deserved it. But it was a spectacle. I met him. He's a great guy. What he does today is he's a teacher of baseball, and his specialty is teaching Babe Ruth age kids
Hey,
how
that's
to
right
play
up
the
our
game.
alley.
Yeah, it's not about this. It's about the thinking part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So there's classroom work along with teaching you, the skills. There's also what should you do in certain situations and why would you do it. So
Have you
I
signed
think
up for that?
JC and I could get away with that.
I have not
Classwork.
signed up for that. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's a place for a guy like Reggie in the Hall of Fame. There's not too many people who could do what he did. So I think he deserves some consideration, and I don't think he got
Should.
much higher than a 40% vote. So, all right.
Hey,
So
we have a relative comment in from our good friend JC.
Good call on Vida. I agree wholeheartedly. JC here.
all right. All right, guys. That does that conclude round 3? Did everybody go in that round?
Yeah.
We all did. Yes, sir.
Let's move on to the number 2 picks in your top 5. Let's see. Brent, start us off.
Okay. It's good to start the arguments going here. But he batted 298 and he had 2,935 hits. He was a 14-time All-Star with 7 MVPs. Barry Bonds. It mostly this must be because of his reputation and how he treated the sportscasters and the folks that vote for the Hall of Famers. But Piazza got in 16, so that's my number 2 is Barry Bonds.
All right.
You still have to put the bat on the ball, and they had no testing for what they accused him of, and he made it fun to go to the ballpark. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'll give him that. I'll give him that. On the other side of the rainbow,
I had to get him in there.
I think Barry went out of his way to deny the allegations, and in doing so, he ruined several people's lives.
Yeah.
People did prison time to protect him.
They did.
He could have admitted wrongdoing, and that might have allowed him some grace.
Yep.
Right.
But I think the evidence against him was overwhelming, and you could say, well, he was still a great player. Okay. Yes, he was. I'm not disputing that. I just think that character does count, and one could argue there are people in the Hall of Fame that didn't have good character, for Ty Cobb, for example. But if you keep letting in folks that cheat the system, then why have rules? So, yep. So that's I don't want to rain on your parade, but I just did. So.
Oh no, but I had to throw him out there just so we could have a bit of a discussion.
All right.
Okay. Robbie, what do you got for number 2?
All right, for number 2, I spent some time in Boston in the mid '80s and had the opportunity to see this guy play right field, probably better than anybody. He was a great hitter, had an arm that was unmatched in right field. Guys would make the turn at first base like they're going to go for a double, and they remember that this guy had the ball, and they would stop dead in their tracks and go back. And that's Dwight Evans. Huey was an amazing player. I think he's a 7 or 8 time All Star, a whole slew of Gold Gloves in right field. He he's one of only like 30 guys in the history of baseball to have 1,300 runs scored, 1,300 walks, and 1,300 RBIs in
Wow.
history. He was a good hitter. He's something like 370, 375 on base percentage lifetime, 285, 290 hitter. Guy was a complete player, and he played it with Fred Lynn and Jim Rice and Yastrzemski and all those guys. So he kind of was overlooked because he was just a quiet guy that went out and played hard every day. And so if you saw him play, you know what I'm talking about. Dwight Evans is my number 2 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
He had a
an
cannon.
excellent pick.
Yes, he
Excellent
had a
pick.
cannon.
Yep. And
Yeah,
I had him come up last week when we were talking about opening day. He was the only one with the record to take the opening pitch on opening day and put it out of the ballpark.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
So,
nice.
He
Yeah.
made a catch when I was sitting in the right field bleachers one day, and he made a catch tracking this home run ball. Remember, they have that short wall in right field, and his eyes were on it the whole way, and you could watch his head swivel. And so we're looking at his face by the time home plate's behind him, and his head swivels with the ball. He has his glove out, and I've never seen a guy just that ball literally. You know, they watch the ball into the glove. His arm is over the wall. His armpit's on the edge of the wall, but his eyes, it like locked into his glove. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen, and I love that I was in right field to see that and see his eyes and all of that. It was just one of those things you wouldn't see in the rest of the ballpark, but sitting
Mm-hmm.
right there, unbelievable. So, yeah, Dwight Evans.
great pick. Great pick.
Yes, very good. Very good.
Marty.
Well, you guys are probably going to shoot this one down on a technicality.
He's already in the Hall of Fame.
All right. No, he's not. But he will be, and I'm not sure if that's part of the criteria that he just hasn't been out of the game long enough. Another Seattle Mariner that turned around that franchise is Ichiro Suzuki. He was a rookie at age 27. MVP in his rookie year. 10 consecutive, no off season of 200 hits in the season with over 3,000 hits, and just okay. But he did save that franchise. He was the Seattle Mariners. And it is something that now the other Japanese players have come over, and the Japanese love to see their players in Major League Baseball. I even heard that I had a retired. My uncle retired from Boeing, which is like a dirty word now, but nonetheless, they had to double the flights into Seattle when Ichiro was having his great moments in Seattle. Just to the fans coming from Japan, so he was a unique spectacle. Whether it's enough to get into the Hall of Fame, I think so. But again, has he been out of the league long enough to qualify for the ballot?
Ooh, it's got to
I
be
think
getting
he's
close.
next year, right?
Yeah,
I think
it's
gotta be
next
getting
year.
close.
Is he okay? All right, then maybe okay. But
But
that's my
he's worthy.
selection.
We're not going to argue
Yeah.
with this one. He's absolutely worthy.
But it's the second time that Marty hasn't followed directions.
Third. Don't forget Bugs Bunny. Third.
All right.
But I'm drinking Almanac beer. It makes it all better.
All right.
It
Good.
is.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
The kids love that.
He
All
sure
right.
did
Well,
put butts in the seat. That's for sure.
All right.
let me
Webby, number 2.
let me finish off this round, and I'll throw out one for you guys to chew on. I'm not sure I actually think this is a good idea, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. Bobby bonds.
Oh.
Okay.
Barry's dad.
Yeah.
332 homers, 461 stolen bases, 268 career average, 3-time All-Star, 1-time Gold Glover. Not as well thought of later in his career. He wasn't the best of teammates, but usually performed wherever he went, and was one of the better players on the field. I still have images of the game on TV with him and Bonds crashing into each other in center field going after a ball one time.
Yeah.
Um,
Willie and him.
um,
Yeah.
but he was quite the player for his time and put up stats that a lot of other players do not have in place. So I doubt he'll ever get in, but that's somebody that you could argue was one of the better players for his time period. So
just a bit outside.
All right. We are down to the final pick. But before we do that, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Mic'd Up platform and some of the other shows. So if you guys,
I wish
I'm
you'd
talking
get out of
about
my life and
you,
shut up.
Do I got to play that again?
That's a new
Rob,
I
one.
wish you'd get
Marty,
out of my life and
Brent,
shut up.
if you need to download and reload, go for it. Now's the time.
Okay.
So, of course, we're on the Mic'd Up platform. This platform is available on both Google and Apple platforms, and it's a little app you can install on your phone or your tablet. And it's free, and it allows you access to any of the shows that are on the platform. And it's pretty easy to use. If you're watching us right now, down at the bottom of the screen, there's a little microphone. You can hit that microphone and leave us a comment about the show. Please try not to criticize us. If you say anything nasty, I'm serious. If you say anything nasty, we probably won't see it because AI comes in and checks it for any kind of disparaging comments and trashes it. So you got to be nice to us.
You don't need to critique me. These other guys do a fine job of it.
So Mic'd Up's goal is to attract some of the larger sports leagues and organizations to use the platform. And as a proof of concept, we've got some shows on here that appear on a semi-regular basis. I'm going to talk to you about the ones that we are seeing on a regular basis. Rick Barry's show, former NBA and ABA player and just a genuine basketball expert. He has a show that appears from time to time with his co-host Cyrus. They will take questions from the audience, and Rick will provide his comments. Some of them you won't like, but at least he's honest with you. It's a very entertaining show. And if you are interested in seeing when the show might appear, go into the app and follow either Rick or his co-host Cyrus, and you'll be notified each time they have a show. The Florida Sports Hall of Fame has a show on here. John Rieger and Barry Smith are the hosts. John is a PGA teaching pro, and Barry's a former NFL player. They interview members of the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. Those are names like Fred Biletnikoff and Wade Boggs. Some great shows have come up lately. One a few weeks ago with Gary Hoke from the PGA Tour and from the PGA telecast was on. Great stuff. They tend to give you information that you might not normally see on a television broadcast or radio broadcast. A lot of talk about how they got to where they are and what they're doing today. So good stuff.
Sweet mother of God, what is the holdup?
So apparently I'm running short on time. I didn't realize that, but the other show I want to tell you about is our friends at Yankees Coast to Coast. All right, there's our vote. Okay. My friends Adam Schneider and Mike Miller. Adam on the East Coast, Mike on the West Coast. They do a weekly show. It's Thursday nights, 4 p.m. Pacific, and they talk about everything Yankees. It's not just about the team. You'll hear about the fantasy camp. You'll hear about people's collections. You'll hear about the broadcasting teams. Really good stuff. They have a different show every week. I think tomorrow night, trying to remember what they're talking about, but at any rate, tune in tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific, and they'll be on. And lastly, my friend Jim Darby has a show that is every other Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific. Jim is a former Easton sports executive who has written a couple of books. He's got a lot of great stories from his career at Easton Sports. Has a lot of connections with Cal baseball, and usually does a good show about a different topic every couple of weeks. So tune in. All right, that's it. Let's go on to round one. Is everybody beard up? All right.
We got him.
Yes.
Brent, start us off. Who's our number one?
Okay. My number one pick, he kind of came to mind when I heard about the topic. Probably didn't have the best stats, and he didn't play that long, but he was one heck of an athlete. His arm was so strong, he would throw people out from the warning track to home. He would hit amazing home runs. He would make catches in the outfield that people didn't think he could get to because he was so fast. He had to even use the wall to slow him down. He kind of ran up it a little bit. He is in one Hall of Fame, the Kansas City Royals Hall of Fame. Vincent Edward Bo Jackson. I just think he was just such an athlete. Had he stayed healthy and not had the hip problem and the vascular problem, he would have set some amazing records. He was just fun to watch. He was one of those guys that he could do anything he wanted to. You know, he could probably throw darts and hit it bullseye every time. He was just that good of an athlete.
He was so fun to watch. I mean, I had never seen anything like him.
No.
I mean, they used to talk about baseball player conditioning, and he comes out there and he blows all that away. These guys are going, we don't have a chance. Like we're playing against a linebacker.
Anyway, Bo, Bo, and Bo is number one in my book.
Remember that throw in the All-Star game where he back against the wall in left field, he made that catch and the runner tacked from third and he threw him out on a strike to the plate?
Yes. Yeah, that's
God,
what I was talking. I saw that not too long ago. Yeah, and the runner was just like turned around and said, "What?
What the hell?" Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
out."
I don't remember who that runner was, but it wasn't a slow guy. It was not
No, it
yeah.
wasn't, and he was hustling.
Yeah.
And it just got there, and they put the tag on him.
Yep.
It was amazing. It was amazing. That was awesome. Webby, what do you got for number one?
I have one that I think everybody will agree with here. And I don't completely understand the rules on this one, but this guy, to me, when you think of baseball, I think of him now. Dusty Baker.
Oh yeah.
Had an excellent playing career, and you could argue, well, he's not really an all-star, not really a Hall of Fame type guy. But this goes back to the discussion about Lou Piniella. An excellent playing career followed by an excellent managing career. And I mean, I felt bad for Dusty all those years he didn't win World Series. You think, oh God, what could go wrong? Every time he's in the big game, he's losing, and then finally gets it. Although we could argue about, how and why that happens, but he's a genuinely good person. I've met him. I think Brent, you met him as well.
I have, yes.
Robbie, I don't know. Did you?
Yeah. I mean, he's really good friends with Sarge, Gary
Yeah,
Matthews.
he's just a really good guy.
Played
You know,
basketball in the Sacramento area too when
yeah,
high
He's
school.
yeah.
Yeah.
got
He's
his
just,
winery out there.
Yeah.
Does he? Oh, cool.
I think this is a foregone conclusion that he'll get in. A lot of people are predicting the date, and it may have something to do with being removed from the game itself, not
Okay.
playing but managing.
Mhm.
But this will happen. It's not like his playing career was something that's just ignore. 242 homers, 137 steals, 278 batting average, two-time All-Star, one Gold Glove. I mean, and then to become a coach and manager for all of these teams, well, he's got 2,183 wins as a manager.
That's a bunch.
That's a lot. I mean,
That's a
there's only
bunch.
162 games in a season.
Uh-huh.
So that's my number one. I think we will see that happen in the next few years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good call,
I
Robbie.
agree.
yeah.
You're
I
a
think
good
that
call,
World
Webby.
Series win capped it.
Way to go, Webby.
Yeah, you're right. I think so.
Yeah. All right. Marty, did you give us the number one pick?
Not yet.
All right, go for it.
You guys have heard of me talk about this guy before. In the pandemic calls that we all did, and during the pandemic, I went into a deep dive, bought some books, did a lot of research on that era. Let me give you the case of Shoeless Joe Jackson. Career batting average of 356. His rookie year, 1911. Now remember, this was the dead ball era. 411 in his rookie year.
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Remember, we're not that good at math.
He got caught up with the Black Sox scandal. And the movie came out, The 8 Men Out, and depicted him as was he in? Was he out? Was he in? Was he out? They talk about even in the Field of Dreams movie, the big scene with Costner and his daughter, and when he's plowing under the field, we're talking about Shoeless Joe. He couldn't sign his name. He was not a learned man. Was he involved? Was he not involved? For every detail I found that he was, there was another detail that says that he wasn't. Did he pay the money? There was even a story that someone threw the money on the floor of his hotel room. And now then the commissioner comes in after they were acquitted by a Chicago jury, and they made a big deal about that in the movie. They hired a commissioner who, in his own right, had a interesting past, and just banned them all. Instead of taking up the case of each individual and saying on their own merit, just ban them all. And this guy, a humble man. Did he appeal? So there's no solid documentation either way. The guy should just get in on what he accomplished on the field through the score books and the scorecards alone. And I think it's about time that and I don't know if he's even eligible anymore, but those Legends Committee should take another look at this guy and just say he deserves it. Shoeless Joe Jackson.
And I will say, Marty is speaking from a point of research here because he has been to the Shoeless Joe Jackson Museum in the Carolinas. I mean,
in Greenville, South Carolina.
Marty's been fascinated by this topic for a long time, and he's dug deep into it. And the more he digs, the more
convoluted it is. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, and it said just in the research, Wikipedia says one thing, another website said something else. I mean, there's. But again, it's over 100 years ago, so there's no solid evidence except for this man was a great ball player.
If it's on the internet, it's true, Marty.
And Marty bought me back a Joe Jackson
Oh,
liquor
that's
store business
Oh, how
card,
cool!
which I
yeah,
keep on
yeah.
display.
And
Nice.
all right, since I'm on it, I have to tell the story. He ran a laundry, he ran a liquor store, and Ty Cobb later in the year was down in Georgia for the Masters golf tournament, and they knew that where Joe Jackson was. So Ty Cobb came into his liquor store, and Joe didn't acknowledge him. Joe didn't say a thing. And he goes to Ty Cobb that came up to him and said, "Joe, come on, don't you remember me?" And again, no thing's in writing, but the legend is, yeah, I remember you. Do you want to remember me?
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so, and then afterwards, they got this high and spent some time together. And then he was a great person in the community. He called, the legend continues that he calls up two of his greatest pupils and said, "Ty Cobb's in town. Come on over." And they spent the afternoon talking baseball. These two kids spending the afternoon talking baseball with Ty Cobb. So a great story. So yeah.
Nice
So
story.
he should be in. He definitely should be in. That's my
Much
number one.
agreed. I left him off my list because I knew you needed this.
All right. So thank you for leaving that off. Fill me in. What did you do insert instead?
All right. I'm hoping that two of you guys here, as catchers in our baseball league that we play in, will appreciate my pick. And I don't know why, but I have felt very strongly about this guy for a number of years now. I have no attachment to the team he played for. I have no particular attachment to him as a player until you kind of dig in on what he accomplished, and he's overlooked because he played every day for 12 years, essentially, in the toughest physical position there is in baseball, and that is Bill Freehand
Oh,
for
yeah.
the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
12 years,
Right.
like 11-time All-Star. I think he was Gold Glove 6 or 7 times. He was a solid hitter. He was a clutch hitter. He was one of those guys, if nobody was on base, he made an out. But if the game was on the line, he found a way to get a hit. But we'll put all of that aside. He started the All-Star game 11 out of 12 seasons.
Wow.
He averaged over 130 games a year for 12 years playing catcher back when there was 155 games. He caught 147 games one year. I mean, he caught them in the World Series. He played every inning of the World Series with the Tigers at 68. And the guy was a horse. And I think we undersell defense sometimes. Luis Aparicio, Nellie Fox, and guys like that are in the Hall of Fame. Ray Schalk, going way back with catchers, are guys that are in because their defense was just so much better than everybody else at that position. And for those 12 years, there was nobody better behind the plate as a catcher, pitch caller, and defensive catcher than Bill Freehand. So
That's
again,
great.
I'm not a Tigers guy. There's nothing about it other than the fact that I think he's overlooked because he was good with the bat, not great, but he was unparalleled on defense.
You know, Marty, he sets the bar for us on toughness, huh?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a great pick. Yeah.
That was very good.
I think he gets dinged because he only played 12 years, but I mean, he caught every day for 12 years. He's not like some of these guys that after 7 years moved to first base. You know?
Right. Or designated hitter or any of that.
Yeah. So
Okay. You make a good argument. We'll put him in.
Thank you. Fair enough.
Very good.
All right. We got a lot of calls.
Great.
A lot of calls. And unfortunately, the first one's from our friends that there's like 7 of them, I think, because he's a Yankee guy. He doesn't shut up.
Howdy, boys. Michael Miller from Yankees Coast to Coast. Couple of things here before I start, so there'll be multiple messages as usual. The Baseball Hall of Fame is the best Hall of Fame because it is the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Very Good. Unlike football, which has a minimum required every year, and basketball, who is electing 13 people this year, it is hard to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. 75% of the vote is required. That's what makes the Baseball Hall of Fame the best Hall of Fame and the hardest to get into.
Okay, good. See? He has to preface everything.
It's okay. I think he makes some good points. Maybe
He did.
not on that call, but he does. Make
Yeah.
good points.
Especially that one on top of his head. Hey.
Ba-dum-bum.
All right, here we go with this next one.
Okay, so who deserves to be in? Who deserves to be in? Let's start with Gary Sheffield. 22-year career, slash of 292 average, 393 on base, and 514 slugging, 509 home runs. Never struck out more than 83 times in a season. And with players of over 500 home runs, only Ted Williams and Mel Ott have struck out less. 9 All-Star teams, 5 Silver Sluggers, and a 60.5 WAR. Most feared hitter for many years, Gary Sheffield.
Yeah, hard to argue with that one.
I like that one. Yeah.
That's a good. That was a good one.
Next up, another monster, Dave Parker, MVP in 1978, and 2 more top 5 finishes late in his career when he was with Cincinnati. 2 batting titles, 2 World Series championships. In his prime years, he had a batting average of .321, which is second to only Rod Carew, third in slugging and OPS, and he led all outfielders during that time in assists. .290 lifetime batting average, 27 12 hits, 339 home runs. Dave Parker.
Yep.
Next up, another monster offensive player who is definitely getting screwed by the writers for all those years because he was not very writer-friendly. That would be Mr. Dick Allen, one of the greatest and most feared hitters on so many bad teams with the Phillies and then the White Sox. His OPS plus of 165 in his prime years is one of the best in baseball history. Because he was not writer-friendly, he never got enough votes. Dick Allen deserves the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
God,
was on my original list also. Yeah.
This pains me. I agree.
Oh.
Fourth on my list is a smaller guy, Lou Whitaker. Lou Whitaker was eligible for the Hall of Fame in a season that 9 guys retired the same times that he did that made the Hall of Fame, so he never even got out of his first year of eligibility. 13 years, 9 years with an OPS plus of 120 or better, a 75.1 WAR. He's better than Ryan Sandberg, Robbie Alomar, and Nellie Fox. He was one and done because of when he retired.
Yep.
Question. And I found out, I tried to look this up during my research. What is WAR?
Yeah, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Say it again.
WAR. WAR. Or as a New Yorker say, WAR.
What is it good for?
All right. So if we've got 20 minutes, Rob will explain what WAR is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I have no idea.
WAR.
It's one of those stats that somebody came up with that combines a whole bunch of different things. Basically, it's telling us old people that batting average and home runs and RBIs are not important anymore. So that's what WAR is.
WAR stands for wins above replacement. So, and I think it's based on the average replacement. But I always like, well, what if your replacement's Joe Morgan? Then your WAR is going to suck. Like, who do we know the replacement is?
Yeah.
God, we still have more of this guy.
The ultimate borderline guy is my 5th guy, Al Oliver, who won 1 batting title. 303
yes.
lifetime batting average, 2,743 hits. However, he lost about 3 seasons because he was at the forefront of the collusion case as a plaintiff against the owners. He won 3 Silver Sluggers, and if he didn't lose those seasons, he clearly would have had 3,000 hits. Al Oliver definitely is the borderline case, but I would put him in. He is a much better player than many that are in the Hall of Fame.
I agree. I think that's a great pick.
Yeah, I kind of regret not having him on the list. Gary Matthews once told me that Al Oliver, everything was a line drive. His outs were line drives, his foul balls were line drives, his base hits were line drives. Just everything was a line drive. That's all he did.
Wow.
This is Tuesday before your show, so I don't know if you answered this. Pete Rose, in or out of the Hall of Fame? What do you guys think? Personally, out. He did bet on his own team, but he managed games differently, I am sure, when he bet on his team. Reds beat writers allegedly did an analysis and chalked up his weird bullpen usage to him being a new manager. Reality is, he probably managed differently on games that he bet on his team, thereby burning bullpen arms for the next game. Out of the Hall of Fame, never in, Pete Rose.
it was the arrogance afterwards. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody, we're an interesting society. If you screwed up and confess and it said, I screwed up, you're right, then they want to give you a second chance. That's all it would take for Pete Rose to be in at that time. Now he's just done. But
Yeah.
at that time, if we just confessed up, he'd be in. I believe he'd be in.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he had that window where he could have just said, "Yeah, I bet on my own team. I blew it. You know, I did try to win games. I never tried to lose a game." And he probably would have been fine. Enough of an
Yep.
apology, but
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
So this is off topic, but I'm going to hit it anyhow. Did you guys talk about who doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, who's in? Let's start with Bill Mazeroski. He never, ever had an OPS plus that was league average. His on-base percentage was only .299. His OPS for his career was .667. Lefty Gomez, 14 seasons, 13 years on the great Yankee teams, yet he only won 189 and 102. One great season. Shortstops, Pee Wee Reese out, Phil Rizzuto out, Luis Aparicio out. Ozzie Smith gets to stay.
That's another show, I think, altogether, right?
Actually, that would be a great idea
Yeah.
for a show. But my warning on all of this would be you gotta look at the eras that people played in. What were similar players doing at the same time? So,
Well, and some guys, it's an eye test. You know a ball player, a good ball player, when you see it, and it doesn't matter what his numbers are. A guy that hits behind the runner, guy that fields his position deftly, and all of that stuff, that doesn't always show up in the numbers.
yeah.
And last but not least, the Baseball Hall of Fame needs to get the statistics accumulators out of the Hall of Fame. That would be Jim Cott. Many, many years, just accumulated stats. Even Phil Niekro with his 300 wins and his 3,000 strikeouts, out. He was never the dominant pitcher. Don Sutton probably out as well. Do not want these guys in the Hall of Fame just because they had longevity in their careers. While you got a guy like Sheffield who gets screwed and is not.
Nothing like a New York lawyer leaving you 9 messages. Which brings us to Big Juicy.
Billable hours.
Before I
They're
get
billable
started, I
hours.
want to give my recognition to Michael Miller. He's got to be the master of the filibuster. My goodness. 9 submissions today. So for mine, I am not going to include anybody that's been associated with performance-enhancing drugs. So a lot of big names are not on my list as a result of that. So with that said, next for me will be number 5. Okay, number 5, I've got Thurman Munson, New York Yankees catcher. Number 4, Don Mattingly, also a Yankee, first base and outfielder. And Will Clark comes in at number 3 on my list, San Francisco Giants first baseman. And my number 2 is Maury Wills, Dodger, 1962, 104 stolen bases, MVP the year before in 61, 2 Golden Gloves, 14 years in the majors. My number 1 is Roger Maris, the Yankee, who battled Mickey Mantle in 1961, ended up winning the record for single-season home run record at 61, beating Babe Ruth. Roger Maris should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Good list there. Way to go,
Yep,
Dave.
you did a good job. I should have played this earlier.
Love you guys too. Thank you.
That was Vonnie.
Yeah.
This is actually Michelle, Rob's daughter, and my pick is going to be Roger Maris. I could not believe when I looked up that he was actually not in the Hall of Fame, considering the prolific impact that he had on baseball and the amazing movie done by Billy Crystal.
All right. That's
So-
fair.
So I think that's a really good one. I hadn't thought of him. I actually hadn't thought of Will Clark either. I think that those guys would be right on the border. I mean, this goes back to the argument of Hall of Very Good versus Hall of Fame.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Will Clark and Don Mattingly fall into that same kind of grayish area. Like if you saw them play in your town, they were amazing, but maybe it didn't translate everywhere else. And then injuries and all of that kind of stuff figures into that
Right,
too.
right.
So we got one more from
Rob's
Michelle.
daughter again. I would also like to put my pick for Kevin Mitchell. Great giant, great ball player. Can't believe he's not in the Hall of Fame.
So
Rob, do you want to take that one?
I don't know what his career stats are. Do you guys have it in front of you at all?
No.
I do not.
I'd be curious. Kevin wasn't the greatest fielder, but he's the only guy I know that caught a fly ball in the outfield with his bare hands. So
Right. It's foul territory. Yeah.
Yeah, overrunning it and reaching back.
Yeah. Whoops. I better get this.
I'm surprised Marty didn't pick him. He played for the Mariners.
He tells some great stories too. He was at camp one year with Will, and he took some great stories.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get there on his numbers, but man, he was a hell of a character. One more. Jim DeVicus. Or as our buddy Jonesy once called him, Jim Dau Vikas.
So for those of you who don't know, Jim is the CEO of Mic'd Up.
Oh, very good.
Robbie, thank you for including my favorite position player of all time, Reggie Smith.
Yeah.
While I was growing up, how many 5-tool players that were switch hitters that could have or that had that kind of power are not in the Hall? Certainly a very special player. Could do it all.
Agreed. That's
Yes.
why I chose him. That's why I'm smarter than all of you guys. So we got a few minutes. You want to do some?
I gotta stay. If you're
Okay,
so
go
much
ahead.
smarter, if you're so much smarter than us, why are you on this this show with us?
Somebody has to herd you like the cattle you are.
You're not too good at picking friends.
There you go.
You should see him pick his nose, though.
Oh,
All right, give me some good honorable mentions here.
I got one.
Jeff Kent.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I got
The
Jeff
dominant
Kent.
second baseman of his era.
Batted 290. The 2,400 hits. 4 Silver Sluggers, 5 All-Stars. Yeah, Jeff Kent was in there.
Like Mike Miller said, he wasn't nice to sports writers, and that's probably cost him.
Yeah,
but he played his ass off every day.
He did.
Yep.
And
I have a
he
sort of a
washed his
fringe.
car in the wrong time too.
Yeah. I have sort of a fringe guy, but it goes back to outstanding defense. There was only one guy we talked about Lou Whitaker, and everybody generally feels he should be there. There was only one guy in baseball that was close to Lou Whitaker during that same era. And this guy played for one team his whole time, the Kansas City Royals. A good hitter, not a great hitter, but good speed, unbelievable defense. Frank White.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was as good as Lou Whitaker in the field, and I don't know. I think you got to remember those guys when you're talking about the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a couple that I think you guys will. I'm kind of surprised that you didn't talk about big time Tim Lincecum.
Now,
I understand that he probably doesn't belong because he didn't have the longevity in his career.
Yeah, it was short.
But when he was the guy, there wasn't anybody better. And he was dominating
He
when he
was.
was on the field. So there are other examples of players like that who were very good for short spurts in their career. Orlando Cepeda would be another guy.
Yeah, I got him
that,
too.
people
He's
talk
in.
about.
Orlando's in.
Is he in?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you pay
And then-
attention at all when we walked through the plaque room?
No, I didn't. I have to remember all of those plaques. There's a manager that I think should be in. His career record isn't that good, but he was stuck in a small market area for a long time and wasn't given the tools, but he did win 2 world championships. That's Tom Kelly of the Twins. 1,200 wins as a major league manager is nothing to scoff at. So
Yeah, that's 2 World Series wins in 5 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow, that is quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What else you guys got? Anything? Well, I guess that's it then.
Marty, do you have any other cartoon characters you think should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
You know, there is one other guy. He's a Dodger guy. It was he batted 294 and over 25, almost 2,600 hits, and 10-time All-Star was Steve Garvey, and he tried to get in there, but a lot of years they voted for him, but just not quite enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, the studio audience really doesn't like that pick.
No.
Well, kind of think of it. You asked about it. Charlie Brown should be in her just for.
All right. It looks like you just got another comment, Robbie.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm going to have to say on principle alone, that's going to be a big no from you, from me and your wife.
Yep.
Ooh.
About Garvey. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys, time to wrap this baby up. Show 36 is in the books. Thanks for joining us. And we'll be back here next Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. with another show. I don't know what the topic is yet. We got to go talk about that and figure out what we're going to do. All right?
Cool.
Thank you for joining us. Play us out, Robbie.
Thank you, Bob.
And thank you, Almanac Brewing.
Yes. Rob, you got to kill us here.